F80, F82, M3, M4 seats into a 1 Series or an E90. Couple of things to consider right off the bat. The type of seats that you're going to be picking. Since this is a 1 Series, it has the seats that fold down so that you get access to back seats. So you're going to want an M4 or an M2 seat because they have that functionality for folding down backwards or forwards so that you can get to the back seats. If you have an E90, you're probably going to want to search for some M3 seats, F80 M3 seats. They also do have a slight difference in the buckle. The 1 Series has a buckle, the seatbelt actually bolts to the floor, so you don't have to mess with the seatbelt at all. However, if you have an E90, the seatbelt buckle bolts to the actual seat. So it is a little bit different, and apparently you have to switch out the seatbelts in order for the M3 seats to work on a E90. So luckily I don't have to worry about that, but we did pick up a full set of M4 seats. I was able to find locally a set of M4 front seats and the rear seats. I actually got all the door cards and everything too. It was the only way he would sell it. I didn't think that these would fit, but apparently these might actually fit in the back of a 1 Series. Apparently it's like a direct swap for the E90 and E82. There is a kit that I bought that is that changes up the brackets so that you can bolt them into our cars. So I'm gonna try that and see if that actually works out. I thought there would be no way that M4 rear seats would fit into an E82, but we're gonna give it a shot. This one does have a small tear in it right here, which we're gonna have repaired after they're installed in the vehicle. So let's get started. These are 135i sport seats. They do have heat, so I'm gonna try to retain all the functions, the heating, and everything else too. The only option I don't think is gonna end up working after the fact is this. I think there is a difference between the F80 seat and the E90 seat modules that controls that. So we'll see if that works or not, but I'm not really expecting that to work. So the first step is gonna be getting the front seats out, then we can start messing with the back seats. So this is a kit from Reboot Engineering that's specifically made for F80 rear seats into an E90 or an E82. Comes with a bunch of different brackets and stuff. One of these goes here on the center, and I think 2 of these bolt to the seats. And then I think these 2 are for the side bolsters there on the sides. So I'm going to be reading the instructions and going over it at the same time. This one seems pretty straightforward. This is the factory bracket here for this one. And this one's got a nice up arrow on it right here. We're going to leave it slightly loose until we get the seats installed. This is the driver's side backrest. You take the bracket off, the OEM bracket from this side. Slide this through the new mount, and then this piece labeled left-hand side sits on the piece of the seat in here. There's no bolt, and then it flops down onto the OEM point, and you can use the OEM bolt. Passenger side rear seat installed. Order of operations: install the driver's side seat with the new bracket, bolt it down, and then remove the bracket from the passenger side rear seat, leave it off, slip the passenger seat over the axle, and then you can bolt it down with the new bracket over there. They do require a little bit more effort to kind of throw back into the latch, but they do latch, and they are in there. It does look like rear visibility, maybe a little bit less. Not too bad though. Now let's see if the side pieces fit. For these side bolster pieces, the brackets that come with these don't seem to be really working in this scenario. As you can see here, I do have the driver's side on. It does slip into the bottom catches pretty nice, but then if you do attempt to use like these brackets here, it sticks out super far, and it's just not the right fitment. I'm not sure if it's just not the right application for a 1 Series with these seats. It might work better in an E90. I think that's probably what they were designed around. So I don't know that they're going to technically work on these, but it is a really tight fit. So even just putting the bolsters into the 2 bottom captures and then sliding it in and tucking it in underneath of that seatbelt trim there, it does seem to sit in there pretty well. It's not like a perfect fitment or anything against the door panel. It does stick out just a little bit, but it does still look pretty good. So we're going to do the same thing with the passenger side. Well, they're in there. It's definitely not a perfect fit. Definitely not meant for the 1 Series chassis. The bottom seat does go in and slide in, but it's definitely super tight against the door panels, and it doesn't really want to go back all the way, so it won't really capture in the mounting points there. You can see that square is where it's supposed to mount over that red peg, so it's still got to go back like 2 inches, and there's no way it's going back another 2 inches. So it is overhanging a little bit. But it is in there pretty solid as is because it's kind of crammed in there really hard. I did end up having to take the bolsters off, put the bottom seat in, and then reinstall the bolsters. So I mean, overall fitment maybe is like a 5 or 6 out of 10 overall. Not like super pleased with it. It does look kind of nice, but everything is, the bolsters aren't like fully seated in all the way at the top. There is no clip there. And then the bottom cushion doesn't clip in all the way, but I mean, overall it is in there, and it does look kind of decent. So we'll get the front seats in, and we'll see how long if I end up keeping the rear seats in here or not. We're going to start with the driver's seat here. The driver's seat, this is a non-LCI, so this is like a first model year 1 Series. It has this style, black style seat module. If you have a white style seat module, like that comes on the F80 seats there, this is a lot more of a plug-and-play swap. However, since it does have this pre-LCI seat module, you are going to have to buy, if you want full functionality, a E90 LCI seat module, which is what I have here. I bought 2 of these, one for the driver's seat, one for the passenger seat. We're going to end up swapping the F80 seat module with this E90 LCI seat module. And then we're also going to swap over this yellow housing and the black connector inside of here as well. One other item that has to be swapped over are the seatbelt buckles. We're going to take the one off the 1 Series and put it on the F80 seat here. That way the resistance values are the same for the seatbelt tensioner, and we won't be throwing a fault for that. And we're going to get started right here. There is a gray connector on the 135 seat and a blue connector on the M4 seat. They need to be swapped. The colors are swapped, so this one's brown on the right, whereas the 1 Series seat is brown on the left. So when you take this gray connector off and you install it over here, you just have to make sure that the brown stays on the left-hand side of the connector, just like it is on the 1 Series seat. These pins do come out of here pretty easy. You do have to just press down on these little tangs right here, the ones closest to the end of the connector, with like a small pick tool, and they will just slide right out. Same thing goes for this side. Again, we want to make sure that the brown wire ends up on the left-hand side. And you heard those nice clicks when it went all the way in. If you do end up squashing the retaining pin a lot when you're taking it out, you just got to give it a slight pry back up when you have the pin out, and that'll make sure it'll click in real nice. The next thing we're going to do is end up swapping out this F82 seat module for an E90 LCI module. So essentially what we're going to be doing is swapping the connector from the 1 Series seat onto the connector from the F82 seat. They have extremely similar colors, one fat red, one fat brown, another skinny red, and then a pair of CAN bus wires. This one also has a purple wire for the seat light, the M4 seat light. So we're going to try and get that hooked up as well. And then this one has the same thing, a fat red. This one has 2 browns. So I'm pretty positive that it uses a second ground to know whether or not it's the driver's seat or the passenger seat. This brown wire here on the 1 Series connector doesn't even go to anything on the body side of the car, so it's not used. So we're going to be swapping it with the brown wire that's on the same level with the red wire here. So pair of CAN bus wires, red wire, thinner red wire, and a brown wire. This one's just not going to be used. So we want brown, skinny red, red, green, and orange. And then for this purple wire, we're just going to stick this one in the very last slot that was not used prior. And then on the body side, we can actually insert a pin into the back of the body side connector and run that to a power source for when we want that light to turn on. But that's pretty much it. So we have the 1 Series connector on the F80 seat, ground, small red, red, green, orange with green stripe, and then our purple wire for the light. We're going to get this inserted back into the OEM connector. Next in line comes our connector from the seatbelt buckle. And then last, I think this is like a seat occupancy connector here, and this is going to lock it all in. And that's pretty much it. So that's the F80 connector, the E82 connector wired into a F82 seat with an E90 LCI seat module. This should plug in and work. We do have to remember what pin we put that purple wire on, so it's pin 1 on the connector inside of here. That way we can add a wire to pin 1 on the body side for our light to work. So this is a pin that I found from another BMW harness that I'm not using in the garage, and this is what we're going to insert into the connector for pin 1 here next to the CAN bus wire, the very last slot here, and this is what's going to power our light. We're going to run this to a power source. Seat's installed, we plugged it in. Connector snapped in, no problem. We have forward and backward movement. We have the seat back as well. I verified that the seat heater works as well, so we've got heated seats. I didn't try the, it does look like the seat memory is working as well. These buttons don't seem to do much here. I'm not really sure if that's a missing pin that I have or if that's just a functionality difference between an F80 seat and an E90 LCI module. But I'm really not too concerned about that. If you really wanted to just get the seat installed and working, you only have to hook up that power ground and the CAN bus signal, and the seat will move around at least for you if you're not too concerned about the heated seat or any of the memory functions or anything. But it looks like everything's working the way that it's supposed to. I'll try to work on the other side now. So it looks like this is going to be the same for the most part. We're going to end up swapping over the seatbelt buckle as well as the connector here, this blue one for the gray one, same as we did on the driver's side. And then we're going to repin this one with the same colors as the other side. It looks like the only difference we're going to have to make according to the wiring diagrams that I'm looking at is that this is the connector for the seat module here. And it looks like this pin number 2 is going to have to be connected to ground, which is pin number 8. So the hack way to do it would just be to like shove a piece of wire in between the two. I think I'm going to end up cutting here and just kind of splicing them together. It looks like this is what tells the passenger seat module that it's the passenger side, so that the vehicle knows when you press the passenger seat heating button that it's going to turn on the passenger side, hopefully. So we're going to give that a shot. So here we have that pin 2 and pin 8 tied together. I just cut them both and crimped them both into like a single butt connector there. We'll see if that works. Okay, so we've got it wired up. This is the 1 series seat connector on the F80. Brown, red, CAN bus, purple for our light. There's also this yellow wire that's in here. This is like the same harness right here. I'm not sure what this is for, but I can't find it on the wiring diagram, so I think I'm just going to end up getting it out of the harness altogether. And then, like I said, we had these 2 brown wires tied together. So we're going to reassemble the connector and put it in the car and see what happens. OEM connector reassembled with the new buckle, the swapped over buckle, and then the gray connector that we swapped over from the blue connector. There's one left over, which is this one. I believe this is the seat occupancy detection, so we're not going to end up using that. This one's going to get just tucked away here in the harness. But this should be it. We're going to put it in the car and see what it does. Passenger seats in, plugged in, everything works. Again, the only thing that doesn't seem to work is the lumbar support. I'll have to take a look at the wiring diagrams and see if I need to switch some pins around or run power to a different pin that's not there currently, or if that's just something that's not going to work. I'm not really sure yet. But the seat heating also works on the passenger side. I think that grounding of the pin at the seat module there on the passenger side worked the way that it's supposed to. So I just got to get the seats bolted back in. The only other thing I wanted to go over for you is how to get the seat lights working. You know, we added those pins into the connectors. So those pins come out of the harness there. It's the yellow wire. And then I turned it into a blue wire and it runs up into the center console, which I removed. and it just tees into this green with a yellow wire, which is just the power port, the rear power port here. So I just have another one going over to the other side for that side, and that power port comes on anytime the ignition is on and goes off after the vehicle goes to sleep. So it seems like a good option there. You can also run it off of the underfoot well lighting as well, except those ones turn off after the doors are closed. It turns off after like 10 seconds. So I wanted the logos to be on anytime that the key was on. So looks like they're working the way that they're supposed to. Just got to reassemble it, and that's going to be a wrap. Well, there we have it. M4 seats in E82, front and rear. Front fitment's perfect. Rear fitment slightly goofy. Like I said, the bottom seat kind of overhangs a little bit, and the bottom cushion's really scrunched in there, but the fold down still works. The seats, all the functions on the seats work. Heated seats work. I got the lighted emblems working as well. The last thing on the list is going to be eliminating the airbag lights. We're going to do some coding with Pro Tools. So once you get your Pro Tool up and running with the dongle plugged in and you're all hooked up, under MRS5 coding in expert mode, under the equipment tab, there are a few things that you need to disable. The 3 faults that I had stored in the car were for the passenger seat mat, and then a fault for the driver's seat position sensor and the passenger seat position sensor. So under the expert mode here, you can see that the driver's seat position sensor I now have set to disabled. Also in here, you will find the seat occupancy detection OC3. This is the one that was enabled, and this is the one that needs to be turned off. So seat occupancy detection OC3, you can just turn both of them off. This one was already off, but turn this one off as well. And then if you go down a little bit further, that there is a one for the other driver or passenger seat position sensor right here, disabled. And then after that, you can code the vehicle with those 3 items disabled. And after disabling the passenger seat mat, the driver's and passenger's seat position sensors, you can see here that I have no further airbag lights on the cluster there, so everything is back to normal. And everything else with the airbag system will still operate normally. It just is not looking for the passenger seat mat and or the seat position sensors anymore. So that's going to be a wrap for this video. You can see I did get the lights working. They're not super bright, but you can see them in the night. Overall, not too hard on the difficulty scale. I would definitely do it again. I might uninstall the rear seats. It does seem like they add a little bit of harmonics into the vehicle. I think it's because they're not sealed very well against the trunk. So it seems like, especially at highway speeds, that it adds a little bit of noise inside of the cabin of the car. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments. I'll try my best to answer them, but really not too bad of a swap to do. I like it.